Hello and welcome to this episode of Microchips, and on the channel today we have this Major M120 120 channel AM/FM CB radio. So before we start, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join the Facebook group, join Patreon, have a look at my website, all that. Let's get started. So I was just assessing this radio, and we've got the obligatory holes in the top, and we have a nice switch poking out the side. We've also got no case screws on the bottom as well. I bought this radio as a job lot with some other radios that we're going to get to soon, but I wanted to play with this one first. So we've got this switch flapping about in the breeze on the side. God knows what that's all about, but we're going to find out. So I suppose we should have a look inside and see what that's like. There's the underside. So they made it easy access for us with no screws, and immediately we're greeted with an IC on a piece of aero board. So what's that all about? So having a close up of the IC, it's a 4070, which is a XOR gate. So inverting OR gate. Wonder what that's going to be used for. And there's our switch on the side. That seems to be drifting off underneath the crystal board. So, interesting. What's this chip all about? Well, I suppose we should have a look underneath. See if that explains anything more. So let's get the bottom off and have a look. What joys are going to be underneath. So let's get the lid off, and we've got some wires around the PLL, extra resistor. I'll have a closer look at that in a minute. You'll just notice that it's not going to work without a cell core plug. But this board seems to be going to the RF gain pull switch. Okay, plugging the microphone in causes a big amount of noise. I think it's wired wrong. So we weren't transmitting and receiving, but I didn't have a speaker plugged in, and I could smell something getting warm, and it was actually the audio chip getting hot. It was because of that noise. So I plugged in my Uniden adapter. Now we're transmitting. TXRX relay's working. So we're getting somewhere. So it is actually transmitting, but it's actually sat on the zeros at the moment. And this switch seems to be dropping 10 kc. And the switch at the side seems to be moving 5 kc. So we're scratching our heads on how they've done this. So let's have a look on the counter. So you can see the switch is dropping 10 kc, and the switch on the side is putting us up to, but it's not straight 5s. So this kind of made me think, oh, there's something bad going on here. So we take out the crystal board, and sure enough, the switch is going across the crystal trimmers. So they're actually using a switch and capacitors to put the drop. That's rough. That's rough. But I suppose it was a way of it being done, but that's actually nasty. So you can see there's capacitors on the back of the switches, and they're just switching them across the trimmers. So 82 picofarad or something, or 62 picofarad. But anyway, That's rough, and it's coming out. That's dodgy. I've just seen the PLL02As in a socket as well. Wonder why that was in there. So I think to start off with, I think we should try and put this radio back to a good working condition. You can see we have a cut track there. Now for the actual 10kc to work properly, it needs to be low on some channels and high on other channels, depending on which channel it is. But it didn't seem to work properly. And normally you just use some form of inversion circuit. Now I know this was an XOR gate, so maybe that was it, but it wasn't working properly. And I wasn't going to try and fix it. So I think the best thing for this is trying to restore it back to some normality. We'll take it from there. So we're just going to desolder those. Get rid of this resistor. Presume this was a pull down resistor of some variety, as it's connected to the negative. So we'll just get rid of all those. Take the wires off the switch. And there it is. There's that little modification out of the way. So I've scratched back the solder mask a little bit, add a little bit of flux. I'm just going to sort out this cut track. I was going to put a wire link, but then the solder bridged it quite nicely, so we'll leave it at that. Yep, that's fine. And also as well, considering we're going to be putting one of my boards in, we're going to get rid of this crystal board as well. So to get rid of the crystal board, we've just unsoldered the lamp, which will be the high lamp, or for high channel, so we're going to repurpose that later on. So the way these add extra channels is they've injected this crystal board, or should we say intercepted the mixer signal. So to restore this back to normal, we just need to pull this crystal board out, and you'll see that the green and the blue wires are actually in the place of a capacitor. So we're just going to snip these out of the way, just like so. These are only going to the band switch, which we're going to be taking out in a little bit anyway. So the wires are actually in place of C17. Now on a single band radio, C17 is a 47 picofarad. So if we put a 47 picofarad back in its place, it now turns this into a mid-band only radio. Which is fine, because my board can replicate the other bands anyway, and more. So we'll just check it now on the counter. Sure enough, 965. Absolutely fantastic. So that's back to normal. So now I've got something good to work on. So everything's fine with that. So we're just having a look at the capacitor, and we're just going to peak the coil before it. So yeah. So yeah, that should do for now. We'll give it another adjustment later. So out with the PLL chip. And in with my modification board. So this is my AM/FM modification board. but this is going to give us low, mid, high end UK40. So we've soldered that into place, and now we're going to attack the band switch. But one of the things we need to do is disable 41 to 80. So for us to do that, we need to remove those wires, solder these points together, and then solder this point to negative. As you can see, by touching negative, restores our supply. So we'll just tuck that onto the underside of the board. So these switches are a little bit weird. Normal switches run top to bottom, but these actually run side to side. So you've got one connection on the side, and then the 3 positions are above it. So once you've got that worked out, the actual switch is easy to work out. Okay, so there's our low, mid, high. So I've added 2 extra diodes as well, because I've actually programmed my board so when the low and high are enabled, it puts it onto UK40. So we can use that as a UK40 like override. So no matter what band it's on, if you pull the switch on the RF gain, it puts you onto UK40. Obviously we're going to need a dropper for that. So there's low band, there's our mid band, there's our high band. We'll pull it out, and there's our UK40. Obviously we're not a dropper on it yet, but essentially it's operational. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, happy with that. So we're going to use one of these crystal frequency dropper boards that I've had made. It's basically the circuit out of the Midnight Express 2. So we'll enable that to pull the crystal down. So we've connected it onto the crystal, which is across there. So we've connected it to that, and in UK40 position, it will pull the it will pull us onto the offset. So there's our low, mid, and high. And if we pull the switch, okay, it's pretty close at the moment, so we'll get that a little bit better. But low, mid, high, absolutely fantastic. So we'll put the front back on, reconnected the microphone correctly, giving the front a little bit of a clean. Definitely looking better already. And we've connected up the highlight as well, so that now signifies that you're on UK40. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, like and subscribe to Microchips. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that was a check of the FM audio. Now the FM audio is actually modulated on the 10695 crystal, which, as we know from the Multimode 2, makes it thin and muffly. So we're going to do a modification that Jay on the Facebook group has made, so it actually modulates the VCO. So the first 2 parts are pull those coils out, and we need to replace the varactor diode with a 27 picofarad capacitor. So that will set the frequency of the 10695 crystal, so we're not going to modulate that anymore. And this purple wire that comes from the FM board, that will be where the injected audio is coming from, and it's actually coming from this board. So that's where the second part of this modification is going to take place. So there's a couple of components we need to change. So first off, I need to pull this resistor out, replace it with a capacitor. Full details of this mod are in my Facebook group, by the way. Thanks to Jay Loach for sharing these. So we're going to drop a capacitor into that place. Very nice. Second thing, we need to pull a resistor out and remove a tantalum capacitor. So this resistor is going to come out and be changed into a wire link. So that can come out. We're just going to put a wire link in its place. So I will play that video again of the audio once we've completed it for comparison. So there's our wire link in place. Next thing we need to do is remove this tantalum capacitor. And we need to be replacing that with a resistor. So we'll put that into its place. And we need to add this resistor onto the back as well. Now, the last part of the modification is the varactor diode we've taken out. We need that on a 103 capacitor, and we need to inject that into pin 1 of the first mixer IC where the VCO signal comes. Okay, we've done that, so let's have a comparison. So we've got before and after.
Testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Hello, like and subscribe to Microchips.
So that was before the modification.
1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Subscribe to Microchips. 1
I think it sounds a lot better.
5. Hello. Testing.
Seems to be a little bit bright around the edges. So let's just make sure our discriminator's not been changed. So I'm feeding in 1 kHz signal through the RF. And with our little bit of paper handy, we're going to set up our synad and make lots of notes about it and waffle on for 10 minutes about microvolts. Yep, sensitive enough. So I think that's turned out quite well. So with the cases powder coated, or should we say I'm going to get them powder coated. I've actually borrowed these off another radio, but I will get them powder coated. We've turned it into a usable radio now. So it's got the original low mid high, but we pull the RF gain and it drops us onto UK40 with correct offset and hopefully a lot better FM audio. So yeah, enjoyed modifying that. It's a good project. But anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join the Facebook group, have a look on my website, buy me a coffee. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.